China's insane new invention just replaced steel, and the West is falling behind. That is the headline echoing around the internet right now, and it comes wrapped in something almost invisible, a single thread, thinner than a human hair, that is nonetheless pound for pound, several times stronger than the steel holding up our bridges and skyscrapers. And I want to be straight with you from the very start, because this one is unusual. Part of that headline is genuinely seriously true. China really did just crack something that the West and Japan guarded like a closely held state secret for decades, and factory bosses and defense departments on both sides of the world really are paying very close attention. But the other part, the dramatic bit about replacing steel, I have to gently push back on, because steel is not going anywhere. And the reason why is honestly just as fascinating as the breakthrough itself. So let's find out what China actually made, why it matters so much, and whether the West is truly losing this particular race. Welcome to the German Science Guy. I'm Dr. Jacob Boten, and los geht's. Let's start with the material at the heart of all this, because it is a genuine marvel: carbon fiber. Now, most of us have vaguely heard of carbon fiber. It is the sleek black weave on expensive bikes, supercars, and tennis rackets. But what it actually is remains a little magical. Imagine taking carbon, the same element as pencil lead, and coaxing its atoms into long, beautifully ordered chains, then spinning thousands of those chains into a single thread finer than a hair. Bundle those threads together and set them in a tough resin, and you get a material with an almost unfair combination of properties. It is extraordinarily strong and yet astonishingly light, roughly 5 times lighter than steel for the same volume, while being able to outmatch it in pure pulling strength. That combination, the strength-to-weight ratio, is the holy grail of engineering, because in a huge range of machines, weight is the enemy. Every kilogram you shave off an aircraft, a rocket, a wind turbine blade, or an electric car is fuel saved, range gained, and performance unlocked. That is why carbon fiber already forms around half the structure of the most modern airliners. But here is the crucial thing to understand, the thing that makes this a story worth telling. Not all carbon fiber is created equal. It comes in grades, a ladder of ever-increasing strength, and climbing that ladder is brutally difficult. The lower rungs are relatively common, and China has been making those for years. But the top rungs, the ultra-high-strength grades known in the industry by names like T1100 and T1200, have been an almost exclusive club, dominated for decades by a handful of companies in Japan and the United States. This elite carbon fiber is so strategically valuable, so important to aerospace and advanced technology, that its export has been tightly controlled, effectively kept out of certain hands for national security reasons. For years, no matter how hard it tried, China simply could not reliably make carbon fiber at that very top level. And that is exactly what just changed. In March of 2026, China's giant state-owned materials company, through its carbon fiber division, announced that it had achieved something it had chased for a very long time: stable, industrial-scale production of a top-tier T1200 grade carbon fiber, which they call SYT-80. And the numbers they report are genuinely eye-watering. A tensile strength in the region of 8,000 megapascals, paired with that feather-light density. To put that plainly, this is among the strongest for its weight structural materials humans know how to mass produce. And China says it can now make it not just once in a lab, but steadily on a production line. That is the part of the headline that is true, and it is a real achievement. Breaking into a club that Japan and America had kept locked for decades is not nothing. It means China is no longer dependent on foreign suppliers for one of the most important advanced materials on Earth, and it means potentially that China could do to high-end carbon fiber what it has already done to solar panels, batteries, and electric cars. Scale it up massively and drive the price down, reshaping the entire global market. That is why the phrase "the West is falling behind" has some genuine teeth to it here, at least at the cutting edge of this one material. So if the breakthrough is real, why am I so insistent on pushing back against the idea that it replaced steel? And this is where we get to the big hurdle, the part of every video where I stop being dazzled and start being honest. And where, as always, I put my sources in the description so you can check every figure yourself. Because as wonderful as carbon fiber is, the notion that it is about to sweep steel off the face of the earth falls apart the moment you look at the real world. Let's start with the most brutal factor of all: cost. Steel is astonishingly, gloriously cheap, one of the least expensive engineered materials in all of human history, made by the billions of tons every single year. Carbon fiber, by contrast, is expensive, and this ultra-high-grade stuff is dramatically more so, many times the price of steel by weight. When you are building a bridge, a warehouse, a ship's hull, or an ordinary car, cost is king, and steel wins that fight so decisively it is not even close. Carbon fiber simply cannot compete on the price of everyday structure, and it never will. Then, there is the way these materials fail, which matters more than most people realize. Steel is ductile, which is a wonderful safety feature. When you overload it, it bends, it dents, it deforms slowly and visibly, giving you warning before it gives way. Carbon fiber does not do this. It is stiff and strong right up until the moment it isn't, and then it can shatter suddenly and catastrophically, often without warning. It is also directional, incredibly strong along the way its fibers run, but far weaker across them, and it can be quietly damaged by a sharp impact in a way that is hard to spot from the outside. For a great many jobs, steel's forgiving, bendable, predictable nature is not a weakness. It is precisely why we trust our lives to it. And there is the problem of the afterlife. Steel is the most recycled material on the planet, melted down and reborn endlessly. Carbon fiber, locked in its hardened resin, is notoriously difficult to recycle. And what to do with mountains of old carbon fiber at the end of its life is a genuine, unsolved environmental headache. Making it is also energy hungry and slow, nothing like the roaring massive scale at which we pour steel. Put all of that together and the picture becomes clear. The world still makes around 1.5 to 2 billion tons of steel every year. Global carbon fiber production, by comparison, is measured in mere hundreds of thousands of tons, a rounding error next to steel. This is not a material that replaces steel. It is a specialist that beats steel in a specific, precious niche where weight matters more than money in aircraft, spacecraft, wind turbines, high-performance cars, and pressure tanks for hydrogen. In all the countless places where cost, ductility, and recyclability matter most, steel remains the undefeated champion, and it will for the foreseeable future. So the honest translation of the headline is not steel is dead. It is China has caught up to the West on one very advanced, very strategic material, which is a big deal, but a very different deal. And even that catching up deserves a note of caution, because our announcement is not the same as a finished victory. The people who watch this industry closely point out that making an impressive first batch of top-grade carbon fiber is one thing, but reliably producing it, flaw-free, in enormous consistent volumes, and then getting it certified for use in something as unforgiving as an aircraft is a long, grinding, years-long process. The real test is not the launch headline, it is whether the quality holds up batch after batch, ton after ton, and whether it can pass the punishing qualification standards that aerospace demands. So China has stepped onto the top rung of the ladder, which is genuinely impressive, but staying there and scaling it is the harder challenge that still lies ahead. And it is worth remembering the West and Japan are not standing still either. The incumbent leaders have decades of hard-won expertise and are pushing forward too. This is a race with several runners, not a finished contest. So let's bring it home. Did China's insane invention just replace steel and leave the West in the dust? Not quite. What actually happened is more grounded, but still genuinely significant. China broke into the most exclusive, most tightly guarded tier of one of the world's most advanced materials, ending a long Western and Japanese monopoly, and giving itself both independence and enormous strategic leverage in the industries of the future. That is a real shift in the global balance of high-tech manufacturing, and the West would be foolish to shrug it off. But steel, that ancient, cheap, tough, endlessly recyclable backbone of civilization, sleeps soundly tonight, unthreatened. The truth, as it so often is, sits between the hype and the dismissal. This is not the death of steel, but it is another lap in a materials race that China is running faster and faster. And that, I think, is the real story worth paying attention to. Not one miracle material conquering all, but a genuine quiet shift in who holds the keys to the technologies that will build the next century. So tell me down in the comments, Do you think Western industry is truly falling behind in advanced manufacturing, or is this race far closer than the headlines suggest? Because I would love to hear where you land on it. And if you want to see the other materials quietly reshaping the modern world, I have a video on exactly that waiting for you right here.